Welcome back to the 12th day of 12 days of Sacred Self. Yes. How is this new energy working for you today, guys? What is transpiring out of all this being a conscious soul self and showing up for myself and all that sacred self-talk over these last 11 days? How's that going for you today? Who wants to share? It's a bit of a rough one, huh? Hint, hint. Yeah, what are you feeling right now? Try to express this.
I'm not. I've noticed on the thread that others have had sleeping issues and that it's kind of bumpy, but I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling really centered. I'm feeling very peaceful and yeah, beautiful. Thank you again for these 12 days. Thank you.
You're hearing other people complain, is that what you're saying? But you're not feeling it yourself?
I wouldn't call it complaining. I'd just say they're expressing perhaps the opposite of what it is that I'm feeling right now. Okay. Opposite is big, but...
That's an interesting point you're bringing up there, Cheryl. When people around us feel in a certain way that we don't. Turn off the mic here. There you go. How do you handle this, Cheryl? How does it make you feel?
Okay, here's my own bifurcation. If I'm on this end of the stick, I'd be like, oh, I'm not feeling that. And there's gratitude for being in this space. But if I'm the one on the other side and people are going, oh, I feel really great today, and I'm like, oh, I just feel like I got hit by a truck, then it's different. So I can feel the juxtaposition in myself when I, woo, this is good, and whoo, this isn't good. And I understand that focusing on either end of that pendulum is not productive. The space is to be in the center and just be more in the flow and not judging either as good or not good.
That's a really cool contemplation, that you notice that you could be on either end, of these. Well, I have been talking about two darknesses, and here you are talking about your inner bifurcation, your inner split or schism, right? And you're saying, basically, without putting words into your mouth, that when you're focusing too much on how you're feeling, or how like how you're feeling, okay? How you judging your experience, either down or up, that creates a bit of a split. Yeah. And this is the deeper teaching of becoming a conscious sacred self. Namely that these two darknesses do not just occur through our lows. They are also presented through our highs, because we get attached to them, right? And
I would say, to interrupt, sorry, Jona, yeah. If I were to put this on a wave, right? So if I'm really down here, like that seems so far to get to. But if I get really high and I start celebrating it in a off-centered way, then if I do crash again, that's a long drop. So to try to stay in a nice appreciative zone without overly celebrating or the other side or whatever, just to be in this nice place and to be able to acknowledge all of it, and to just recognize that the way days or experiences or the collective changes, there's going to be that. And to accept that with the work that I do, continuously meditation or reflection or contemplation, that those lows aren't as low as they used to be. And even if I do go low, which still happens, that it's not as high of a climb to get back to center, which is where, and same with the highs. Sure, it's great to experience wonderful times with the grandchildren or whatever it is that brings a lot of joy, but to recognize that center is the balance of which I strive for. Strive's not the right word either, but yeah.
It's this pendulum, right? You've recognized the pendulum, and that is actually the core of all resistance, right? When we keep ourselves in this equilibrium between these two states and not get too attached to how our ego likes or dislikes what we are experiencing, then the amplitudes, the extremes, they start harmonizing, they start balancing, and it's more like a wave, you said, in sort of this continuous wave. This too has to do with harmonics, actually. But it's a very beautiful description of what the challenge really is. The challenge is not to always feel good. That's just our ego telling us. All right, the ego says, I don't want pain, I just want, and I want to hear the angels singing, and I want everything to be easy, and I want to feel secure, and I want to have everything that I want, and I want it now, and. There is no end to what the ego wants. There's no end to these attachments. And so, depending on how we choose to see all this, we can get all wrapped up in it and can say, oh, because I didn't get the lottery win this weekend, my life is over. I have bad karma. This is it. Or because the government, or because Okay. And on the other hand, I can imagine, going into a place where, let's say, something lucky happens or something unfolds in our life. And I'm like, oh my God, I knew it. I was right. I'm on the right path, and I'm great, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be the winner, and, whatever other versions of specialness come out of us in those places. Can you feel that? Can you feel this inner split? Yeah. Thank you for this contemplation of the day, Cheryl. I like it. Celia is sharing. I had sleeping issues the night before yesterday, weakness in the heart. That is not common to you. Yes, you aligned yourself to the Schumann or you felt the Schumann resonance, the vibration resonance of the planet. Felt like, I'm interpreting what you're writing so that everybody else can understand this, that there was a strong shift. And actually, I felt that too in that very same way. But that's not something anybody can feel without sort of understanding what you're talking about. It's more that there's something collective going on. So collective as in perhaps planetary, or, going through the whole humanity on this planet. Yes, I've been feeling that too. Annetta's sharing, it's been a little chaotic today. Sheila's sharing, last 2 nights were of physical and mental pains, odd and very uncomfortable feelings. Yes, I've heard this a lot, Sheila. Yeah, I can connect with what Cheryl says Annetta. And it's the choice. Annette says, I choose to connect with the heart in either situation. And it allows us to become conscious. Conscious is not the same as, I want more. This is the part that we need to detect in us. Of course, we don't like it when we stump our toe, but what do you know? Maybe you stumping the toe, there's something in the greater scope of things that motivates you to start a new job or, get divorced or whatever. Something huge that can come out of that one single incidence that the ego perceived as negative. Cindy is sharing lots of heart palpitations on and off the last couple of days. Mostly feeling some new is coming in, and I feel empowered. The other Annette shares. Yeah, so you see, we have a whole mixed bag of experiences here, and this doesn't have anything to do with how you. Sorry, guys, let me have this past. Yeah, so this is how the collective feels today. This doesn't have anything to do with how good you are or anything like that. It has a lot to do with where you're at. The place that you're at, the people that you're with. So the more exposure you have, the more you'll be affected by those things. But even if you are on a mountaintop, right, you would pick up on that. So the last 48 hours from an energetic point of view brought in a very difficult disharmonic energy. Okay? And so it is even more so the reminder that we need to be fully awake in those times. You've all shared this over these 11 days, how the temptation to go into comfort zone or, to just go by what feels good, all right, is basically what makes us become asleep, is what makes us become spiritually unconscious. And when we're spiritually unconscious, it's like our spiritual death. We're experiencing this inner light sort of extinguishing, and it makes us look on the outside because we feel the absence of this light and we want to get it. We're longing for it. So we're focusing on what happens on the outside to get it back. Can you feel me here? How our ego goes into this immediately, I want to have this. I want to feel the warmth. I want to feel the love. I want to feel the light. But the mistake that our ego perception fills us up with is that it is something that we could get from the outside. And this is where we get in trouble. This is where our attachments play out. I'm sure you've all heard this talk. It's in the Buddhic teachings and all teachings really that promote mindfulness, that it is detachment. But don't mistake detachment as making yourself numb or no longer wanting to feel anything. In fact, there was an interesting study that was published this morning, and I hope I can find it to send you the link, where they investigated how to get rid of unwanted thoughts the best. And they did this experiment where they did MRIs and had these biofeedback device on the people as they were giving, as if they were tasking them, and they said, pull up an uncomfortable memory from the past and try to get rid of it. All right, and it was very interesting what the results showed. They showed 3 different ways of doing that and their effectiveness. The first one was just to try to make it go away, to repress it, to just cut yourself off, and to not wanting, to literally trying to destroy the thought. Do you guys know what I mean? I say, don't think of a pink elephant. And all you can do now is start to think about a pink elephant, right? Try to make that go out of your head now. Good luck with that. It's not very effective. The second way people try to, or were suggested to try to let go of an attachment to a thought, was by trying to replace it. Just think of something really happy. Just sort of move this out and put something that reminds you of a positive feeling in instead. And that worked a little better. But the third group was the most successful group. That group was tasked with, face it. Face what you're feeling there. What is that thought saying? What is there? And then take it on, accept it, like Cheryl, like you just said, I accept that life is that way sometimes, that my mind thinks these kind of things, that I feel these kind of things, that I have these kind of emotions, or that my body feels painful sometimes. And learn to control it by facing it, by inoculating yourself from it, basically, by saying, okay, I mean, since we talked about the immature ego yesterday and the child-like nature of it, anyone who's ever raised children or raised children knows that there is a point when you're up against a child's ego where it's best to say, Do you guys know what I mean? I hear what you say. And you're thinking, well, but we're still doing it my way, though, no matter what it is that you're thinking, because I'm in control. Yeah. Oh, God, there's a lot of sharing today. I won't be able to read all this. Who wants to speak into the microphone? George, you've had rough dreams last night. Yes, me too.
Good morning, Jona. How are you?
Hi there. Who's speaking?
It's Carmel.
Hey, Carmel.
Had a rough night. Didn't sleep very well. I'll just turn the video on too while I'm here. I'm in the car, by the way, just on my way to work. Can you see me? No? Yes?
There you are.
Oh, there I am. Yeah, had a bit of a rough night, and that was sort of going through a review of the last, I suppose, 12 days, and where I'm at. And this morning I said, I've actually had enough of all the crud and all the things that don't work. And what I'm noticing more and more with the people that I'm interacting with is, I suppose, the things that really bug me, or their lack of integrity on some levels, and my belief in, I suppose, other people's opinions. Oh, they're really good, blah blah blah. And then when I sort of like look at the broader picture, because I'm working with them on a more intimate, I suppose, level, I find it's not it's not what it was spec'd out to be. So I'm finding, today on day 12, that I'm having a little bit of a challenge with where I'm at. Well, not so much where I'm at, but just the stuff around me. It's sort of like I need to change things.
The conditions.
Outer conditions. They're not working. I'm doing a big review.
This is a really good point here in regards to what we get out of all this contemplation, because it has to be put into life, right? It has to be translated. It has to be embodied somehow. I mean, we can talk about our ups and downs all day long, but I can promise you it's not going to change a thing Okay, I mean, it's going to make you feel lighter because you felt you shared and you're not alone, but you're still going to have to face it. And yesterday we had this announcement of this, like, oh, 3D is hitting the fan kind of feel, right? So today we're back in the grind of things and talking about people's integrity. Karma is probably a big topic for all of us. The choice of whom we choose to surround ourselves with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah, boundaries. My boundaries came up.
Yeah, but there's also a point, Karma, where no matter how hard you try, okay, when you're up against a lack of integrity, or say relative to your virtues and your, ability and willingness to see truth, to speak truth, and others aren't, which is their choice too, by the way. And all these choices in the bigger picture, karma takes care of this. So we don't have to, change what other people choose. We just need to focus on what we choose. But sometimes, being a sacred self, being fully aware in the now, also allows you to realize that there's no point in trying to fight against it. You're clearing your energy out in the process. And then there's no energy left at the end of the day, right? For healing, for expressing self-love, for beauty. So we need to step into authority here, and this sounds like judgment, but it's not. The judgment and the attachment part in you is what tells you, oh, I have to get better at coping with it. Oh, how come you see the others? They're all okay with it. I seem to be the only one that's having a problem with this, so it's got to be my fault. No, when you go into truth, you recognize, okay, it is what it is. I accept things the way they are, but I still have a choice. All right, I have to surround myself with conditions, not to be personal here. And I'm sure it's not in companies, at workplaces, it's often not just the individual's karma, it's the whole sort of spirit of the company. It kind of trickles down from the upper levels into the lower levels. The people that are attracted to work for a certain company is the same as the people that get attracted to live in a certain place, or the people that get attracted to come to a group like this. This is a public group. Anybody could have come. But it's not. It attracts only people who resonate on this level. And so that then becomes our task in stepping into our authority. To recognize when conditions are not conducive, because they're simply driving us into our attachments, into our inner judgment, into our inner, ups and downs, highs and lows, into our abyss. And sometimes the truest thing to do is to say, love you guys, it's all cool what you're doing, and I respect your choices, but it's not for me. You don't have to criticize others. We can just choose to walk out with this awareness. And even when it's not possible, there's conditions where it's not that easily possible to just quit your job or get divorced. Right? Then, we can start focusing on this willingness to actually face it and deal with it. And out of that, then maybe create a strategy, a roadmap, that helps us to live this compromise, but a conscious compromise. So my experience as an energy coach is that a lot of people live a lot of compromises, but they're not aware of those compromises, and they're not aware with what they're paying for. Okay, so when you recognize yourself as a sacred self and your energy as the currency of, the light, if you will. We talk about it in form of light, but if you see your energy as, part of this current, this light that flows either through you or not, or, as a tiny little speck that is buried somewhere deep in your heart, or that is radiating out and shining forth. Okay, when you realize that your sacred life force is the most important part of what expresses you here in 3D, you begin to see things differently. And I can only support your contemplation right now with letting you know that it's okay to have those kind of thoughts and feelings, but that you need to use them to arrive at a place where you say, okay, I recognize that this is not the right job for me or the right people. Sometimes the intentions that we have, or the things that we strive for, right, sure, they're the right things, but we try to do it with the wrong people or in the wrong place. And the problem with that is that it makes us feel like we're a failure or we're not good enough. And that's the power of this consciousness in you that recognizes when things are not of truth, when they're not of love, when they're not of integrity. And to simply turn around and say, okay, I accept that this is what they're choosing. But that doesn't mean I have to hang out here, So this is from an energetic perspective, and also including all the energetic dynamics, like I've mentioned in the beginning. We pick up on things that are going on around us. We osmotically sort of take them in. And if we don't have enough energy left to strengthen this light in us that can heal us, the warmth, the love, the self-love, the beauty, all these wonderful resonances that we've talked about here in these 12 days, well then all your understanding and your thinking and all that has no value. Because you're not able, you don't have the energy, you don't have the authority to express it, because you gave your energy away on unconscious things, guys. You see? So when it comes to remembering the light in us, it's never about how good we are in remembering the light. Don't ever make this a matter of, oh, I'm so not spiritual today. Understand what you are up against, okay? And consciously step into your authority as a sacred self, into your health authority over your body, over your emotions and your mind and your sentiments and your actions and even your dreams. This is something that one can actually learn. Some of you may have heard of lucid dreaming. This can be used as training modality. This is what we do here in these transmissions. We give a person that energetic authority, or we teach them how to tune into that so that they can even change their dreams and their etheric reality. So ultimately, since we've walked through all these different dimensions of self and spiritual hierarchies that fill up this universe with different resonances and different harmonics and different qualities of expressions of light or the absence of light. Let's remember one main thing. That was something we talked about yesterday, is that it is in the balance. It is in that center point, between these, two dualities that pull us away from our center. It's in the unification of all of that, when we stay in the center, when we stay in our own Trinity, if you will. That is what gives us this authority. And these spiritual realms that I've guided you through here, and those are some words that many of you are not familiar with. They come from the Greek. It's a culmination of a lot of different spiritual teachings. But the bottom line of that is that we have this human realm, basically what we perceive as our reality, that stands in this universe surrounded by a hierarchy of spirit beings that we typically call angels, that are messengers, that are, the true self, the sweet voice that whispers to us when we go into inner silence. And then we've discovered the realm of these universal forces, the great forces, the small forces, entropy, syntropy, the force of, that makes things move, that keeps things in balance, that makes things evolve. And then we've learned about the first hierarchy, the Trone, the cherubim yesterday, and the seraphim, which are spirit beings that we cannot actually see, we can only feel them. They represent these universal powers, truth, light and love, or truth, wisdom and love. We can only feel them, and only if we are standing in the center. So each of these three hierarchies is split into three. So we have three different hierarchies: angels, forces, and powers. 9. With us as humans as the 10th hierarchy, working our way up to, and this is sort of the final hierarchy, the source of it all, the divine consciousness. So this is where we are, or where we have arrived. This is where we are from. This is the stuff that we made out of. And when we step back into this authority, into this I am awareness that we talked about yesterday, that's when we are conscious, when we're fully connected with divine Wi-Fi, where we can connect to all of these different levels in us through our heart, our sacred heart. And our sacred self being sort of the container for all of that, the vehicle. So this is the journey that we went through here in these 12 days, through all these different dimensions of self and being, only to arrive where we came from. To arrive in the awareness that all that is still in us, and that we have not just the power, that we have the right, the birthright to be one with it. And I think one of the things that you guys have experienced over these days, these almost 2 weeks of consciously showing up, coming here, sharing or watching the videos, is that we don't have to be different from who we are. Is that all we really need is to choose to show up. And before we go into the final energy alignment for day 12 called Divine Consciousness, I want to ask you real quick what it really is that you have gained through talking, sharing, showing up together, laughing together, crying together, meditating together. What are you taking with you now? Who wants to share?
I've become more aware of my ego. So I wasn't aware of, I thought that I could let my ego go, and this has taught me that it's not always going. And so it's helped me to see that when I think I'm getting it all or hearing it all, my ego is stopping me from some of it. And so what I find is, as I hear it again, I hear new things. And I suspect that's my ego playing with how I'm hearing. So it helps me to know to go deeper or be more conscious of that. And that's been very eye-opening.
Thank you, Linda. Perhaps also less judgmental. I'm kind of hearing that in between the lines of what you shared, right? To not judge either way. One thing for those of you who are still a little afraid of your ego or judge your ego as sort of the anti-me or the anti-consciousness, accept the fact that your ego will be part of your journey at all times. And, throw it little bones, throw it little treats here and there, okay? Let it celebrate its victory, knowing that, yeah, it's all right, honey. It usually works better than trying to make it go away, clear it out. Or worse, have somebody else clear my ego out. That doesn't work, guys. The more you try to make it go away, the more present it will become. Yeah, so many sharings here. Cindy sharing the motivation to keep going, and to keep moving, and to keep aligning. More strength and awareness. Yes, the reminder that I have a choice. The connection and the community feeling. You're feeling the love and the strength. That's a big one. Yes, it's a very powerful gathering when people go into this level of consciousness. I think I mentioned this, but to really change collective consciousness, it doesn't require the majority of people to arrive here. It really only takes a few. Because the quality of this resonance, the harmonics are so high that they can carry others through. And that's then also something that comes in with this I am awareness, namely that you are a keeper of the flame. That you are a beacon. And you can choose that, it's your free choice. But when you arrive at the truth of it all, it becomes so easy, it becomes so obvious to feel what purpose is. Yeah. It doesn't matter what kind of job you do, or whether you become a mother or not, or a business owner or not, or whatever those ego identities are. all that's important is that you understand the power of being aware of your light and how many people are impacted through this. That's empowering for me. Thank you, for all your thank yous and for all these things that you're taking away. Because this confirms to me that this message that I've shared with you here in these last 12 days has impacted you. And as it is impacting you, it is also now impacting all the people. And, not just the people per se, but also this whole entire circumstance, right? The conditions, the environments that you are in. And this is what I have chosen to do. This is my purpose. And on the way, I bake cookies and yell at my kids and, have all the stuff that you have too. Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I know what I'm doing. I know what's expressed through that, and that can carry me through these dark moments. But we need to arrive in this place that we know what we're doing. And that we let go of what we couldn't know before. We couldn't know this yesterday. And you don't know what you're going to know tomorrow. So it's best to always be in the now and appreciate that. And to strive for bringing that into expression the best way you can. And if you're low, what have we learned? I think it was the second day. You just simply stay a little longer. Okay? You just keep aligning. Okay, that didn't work. Guys, I've tested this. I've spent 10 hours once just trying to hold, not thinking. And it is a battle without comparison. Okay? So at some point, your ego will tire out. We practice this here at Transcodes every month with these marathons where we deliberately tire out our ego, and it's typically sort of a, 36, 48 hour battle. And then the last 24 hours, we finally arrive where we've chosen to be. All right, with all this said, obviously took a little longer today, and all your wonderful sharings. I want to invite you to the last energy alignment for this 12 days of Sacred Self event. You can lean back, close your eyes, and just feel into the words. Divine consciousness. I am. I am awake. I am home. I am the way. It reminds me of the freedom to choose what I am aligning myself to. I am the truth. It reminds me that there is a light in me that prompts me to feel and express truth. I am the life. reminds me of grace within and my courage and integrity to trust in feeling and expressing love. This is my choice. Divine love is all that I am. As for as long as I remember that, I am one with the divine consciousness and the divine order that is within all. My body, my mind, my spirit, heart and soul, and all their error perceptions. I can love truth more than my ego. With every breath in, I choose to allow the sacredness of the Divine Trinity within. And with every breath out, I choose to let go and clear all thoughts, emotions, sensations, and sentiments that do not serve to empower me to be me. I take this sacred moment to consciously feel how my inner and outer connection strengthens, heals, and nurtures my sacred heart so that I can live and create a life as a conscious soul self. I love the light. I joyfully serve the light within. And I devote my heart to become a beacon of divine light shining forth in this world. And my sacred self to be the keeper of this flame. Here and now, and at all times. Thank you. Before I let you go, I have 2 shortcuts for you. People always ask me, is there a shortcut? It's an ego question, really. But it's a valid question. Right? Because what am I saying? Oh, you You know, you're just an ego self on a lifelong journey of suffering. No. You are a sacred self on a lifelong journey of remembering who you truly are. And there are short words. One I've introduced to you yesterday was breathing. I am breathing. And just, if you forget it, just say it, you know, anchor your breath with I am, you know, just say I am each time you breathe. You can even say it without saying it out loud, if you know what I mean. And the other one is something that you can maybe anchor in your body through tapping or touching or squeezing your butt cheeks, because that allows us to make that connection between this inner light that I have and my physical body. And just say to yourself, remember the light. When we are on this verge, when we are straddling these two worlds, and we feel the pull into our own abyss, as we called it in the early days, all we need is to remember that we are light and that our gravity, okay, is so much stronger than this abyss. So all we need is to remember this. We don't need anything else. We just need to remember that when we go into the abyss, when we let that inertia pull us in, that's our spiritual death. That is when our light extinguishes. Never fully. But when we choose the darkness, then it does extinguish. But there always is a way back. This is the beautiful thing about divine consciousness. You also recognize that there's forgiveness and second chances and a million chances every day. Because how many times a day does this happen to us? Right? Many, many times a day. Thank you, George. Yes, and I want to thank all you as well for your willingness to show up and share, but also to just be here and be open for this teaching of the sacred self, if you will. And tomorrow is the first day of us becoming conscious, active sacred selves, right? So, one more time, the 13th time, where we're bringing all this together. And it's a slightly different format. It's a 20-minute meditation that we go into. It's step 1 of the sacred self experience. But we come together for the same purpose, with the same resonance, and now with a new awareness, with a new remembrance, with a new commitment to ourselves and devotion to be this light, to experience this together. So one more time, but now rebooted and upgraded tomorrow at the same time here, showing up as a sacred self, tuning into our sacred heart together. And any of the other days, because I'm not the only one who chose to serve this divine consciousness, this divine light in this way. There are many others who have chosen to do this. They all started out like you. I don't know, is anybody here? I know there is, but who would like to share? Who's a facilitator of these sacred self meditations that we do every day. I'm posting the links here for you. Does anybody want to share what that was like when you first started out, when you first came to any of the public or live streams that I did, the trainings maybe, and what has motivated you to facilitate these gatherings? Yeah. Hey, Sheila. I know, it's like it's almost like it amplifies it, right? Thank you, Sheila, for choosing to shine your light. With no prerequisites, nothing. You just followed the prompting to just do this. It's wonderful. Thank you. So I don't want this to feel like a heavy goodbye. All right, that's why I've added the 13th. Okay, tomorrow. I'm wishing you a wonderful journey. Know that there are people on the same journey. Know that you never walk alone. You walk with anyone who's walking on the same path and who has walked on this path before. And also know that there is assistance, that there are people who really care and who do this for a living, like myself. So if you would like to know more about the experience that Sacred Self experience, where it's like a systematic learning experience with 24 different lessons and meditations, then check this out on my website, transcodes.com. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.